Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is June coming to you with my July finished sewing project. And finished is the key because I had a couple of flops that I may talk about at some other point, but not in this video. Let's get started. First, I want to say that July was actually a pretty productive month, but it all happened like in the first week of the month, because I was sewing my little heart out because I was going on vacation and I wanted to do a few things before then. If you saw my last video, it was my vacation lookbook of sorts. So I did a lot of sewing before that, and then I was away for a while, and then I came back and I just wasn't in the mood to sew anything. So most of this was finished in the first week, which is a lot. The first thing that I finished is a shirt for my son from Fiber Mood issue number 4, and it is a Charlie shirt. Charlie shirt. It's a mouthful, but it is this cute little notch collar, not this one, notch collar shirt that I made in the leftovers from my Marigold dress from last month. And of course it has anchors on it, which was perfect for going on a cruise because, as I said last time, it's a bit themey, but who cares. Now, I made it in a size 10Y, and I don't remember the exact measurements, but it's for a 10-year-old. My son is almost 11 years old, and the shirt fits him great, and I think he can actually get some wear out of it. It's not like it'll fit him now and then that's it, right? He's very thin and very tall, and there's room to grow in this shirt without making him look like a clown right now, and he likes it so much. There is a little thing about this shirt that I actually blogged about this over on my blog, which I'll leave a link to underneath in the comment section, not the comment section, in the description box. The facing, with all notch collars, you have some kind of a facing to make the collar on the right and the wrong side look pretty, of course. And a lot of times they'll go all the way to the center back, but the facing on the Charlie shirt only goes to the shoulder line. And this is something I've encountered with other European sewing magazines before. And other times I've had it finished somewhere, some other way. But for this one, they have you finish the back neckline with bias tape, which I think is easier than other ways I've done before. And I have to say that of all the ways I've tried to finish the back neckline on those sort of like convertible collars, notch collar shirts, that one was the easiest and the prettiest. So definitely have a look at my blog. There are pictures of that finished neckline in the back and some explanation of how they do it. But it was very easy, and the best thing about sewing for my son, I think I might have said this before, is that as long as I get the length right, the fit is always pretty spot on, because he's a kid who, first of all, doesn't care about fitting, and second, there are no fitting issues. He is a rectangle, so that's all there is. So that was a great first project for the month. Get it off on the right foot and start with something that actually works. The next thing that I made, and of course with an eye towards vacation, was the Marion Swimsuit, which you can barely see here, but I'll take a better shot of it later. This is the Marion swimsuit from Sew a Little Seam, and I made it in the low front scoop with white straps and the peplum. And I originally intended for this to be a muslin because I had other swimsuit fabric that I wanted to use, but I was cutting it close, and this one came out well enough that I decided to just have this one be my actual garment. I'm looking at my notes here, and I made it a size 16-18, and I shortened the straps a total of 3/4 of an inch because I'm short and the straps were a little big, and it was just making everything fall pretty low on my body, which is not ideal for a swimsuit because it needs to fit snugly. Otherwise, when you get in the water, which I didn't do, but that's a story for another day, it just comes off. Another thing, I did not have swimsuit lining proper. I thought that I did, but the stuff that I have only has two-way stretch, which again, not good for swimsuits. So what I did was that I self-lined the bodice. So I used the same fabric to line the bodice. And because I need all the support I can get, I went ahead and I sewed bra cups, like swim bra cups, into the bodice. I did it between the lining, I don't know if you can see it here, between the lining and the actual outside, and it fits really well. It's very supportive, and this fabric is a little chintzy, but like I said, it was supposed to be my muslin, but I have tons of this fabric because it was sold to me as athletic wear fabric, but it's not. It's swimsuit fabric. And then of course, because I sewed a swim top, I had to make some swim bottoms, and I don't remember if the Sew a Little Seam pattern has swim bottoms. I think it does, but I had wanted for years to make the little swim shorts from the Ottobre magazine issue from, well, the issue is 02 2011, and the garment number is 20, and they're just little swim shorts, which I bought this fabric from Joann's probably in 2011 to make it. And again, this is when I bought the fabric that I have that I thought was swimsuit lining along with this fabric, but again, instead of lining it with two-way stretch fabric, I just lined it with the same kind of fabric, and then I did just use that fabric for the crotch because it doesn't need to stretch much, but it does need to be a little lighter than the pretty heavy swimsuit fabric. I made this in a size 38 as is. I didn't do any adjustments, and it's actually pretty good. The way that they do the crotch, I think, is fantastic, and you end up with like no exposed seams anywhere on the crotch, well, except for the sides here, which I will say I did not like that there is no seam allowance on the side seams, not the side seams, but like the side seams of the crotch, which means that it's really hard to sew the elastic in and top stitch everything. That was the only thing that tripped me up. And I mean, this was my first time making any kind of swimwear, and attaching the elastic is not perfect. I mean, as you can see some of the elastic on here, but you know, it's on the inside. No one's ever gonna see it, so I'm not too bothered. And I did it all on my sewing machine. Initially, I thought that I would do it on the serger, but I just found that doing it on the sewing machine with a zigzag stitch was easier, which surprised me because I love my serger and I swear by my serger. But this is actually fits really well. It's higher waisted than I normally wear my swim bottoms, but they stay up and they're very comfortable. And actually, like the coverage it's pretty good. Yeah, so cute little swim shorts that I just wore once to sit on the side of the pool because I don't really actually like going in the ocean. Oh, I did go in the where did I go? In the hot tub once. That was it. If you remember last month, I said that I made that blue flowery dress from a fabric that like has a lot of static and it sticks to your body. So to combat that, I decided that I needed to make a slip. But because I also have to wear shorts under my dresses because my thighs rub and it's painful, I decided that instead of just a slip, what I needed to do was make pettipants. So I bought a vintage pattern, and I mean vintage is like 1970s pattern, and I made some pettipants which are very, very cute. They are here. Again, I'll probably do a better video. So they are made from tricot, and the elastic on the top is like little scalloped elastic, and there's some non-stretch lace here on the bottom that if I was to do it again, I probably wouldn't use this kind of lace. but they are so comfortable. They stop my thighs from rubbing, and they help with the static a lot. And let me say that, oh my gosh, figuring out how to do this thing in the front, this pleat here, was so difficult. I have an advanced degree. I have 3 degrees total. I'm almost done with the 4th degree. My husband has a science degree. And the two of us, it took us like probably 45 minutes to figure out how to do this. And we still couldn't figure it out from the instructions. So we sort of had to reverse engineer the whole thing by looking at the pictures and doing it from the right side instead of the wrong side. So long story short, it was difficult to make the pleats. And again, it is not perfect, but it does the job. And it is, oh, my microphone almost fell. And it is so comfortable. I will definitely be making more because like you need more than one of these. I wear dresses a lot in the summer these days and I need it. So this is, I don't think I said what the pattern was. It's Kwik Sew 203 and it comes in extra small, medium, large, I think. I made a medium and it's fine in the width, but oh my gosh, the crotch length was enormous. It was so high that I ended up chopping about 2 inches off from the very top after I had finished it. Because when I put it on, the crotch like drooped halfway down my thighs. And that is just not a good feeling. But yes, I absolutely recommend this pattern. You can find it on eBay, that's where I found it. And pettipants need to make a comeback. The next thing that I made was the Jenna Cardi by Muse patterns. This is a cropped, like very cropped cardigan, and I had to shorten it another 2 inches because again, short. And I made it in this pink ponte, which if it looks familiar, it's because I've used it in the past. I think I used it in December to make another cardigan, but that was a long cardigan with a peplum. But this cardigan is a short-sleeved one. I made it to go with dresses with gather skirts, you know, like fuller skirts and more snug bodices. This was, well, this is a wearable muslin. I initially bought a different fabric for it. I bought a black ponte for it from Muse. And I have these little like black and silver rhinestone buttons to go with it. So I wanted to use fabric that I already had to see how the whole thing fit. And like I said, I shortened it 2 inches in length, but I think it still needs a narrow shoulder adjustment, but that's about it. And I love how it looks. I'm not crazy about the way that it looks here with this dress that you've seen it with, but that's the only video I have of it. So that's what I'm putting in here. I think it will look much better with a different kind of neckline on a dress. But anyhow, the pattern is great. The instructions are great. I love that it's a knit, but it's not, like it actually has a proper button band and it has proper interfacing. And it's really great. I really love it and it is so comfortable. Then I made a second version of the Marigold dress by Blank Slate Patterns. I made one in June with a chambray with the anchors, and I liked it so much that I decided that I was gonna make another one in some silk. And I used a silk to peony that I have had in my stash since 2014. 2014. I bought her in California when I went to Costume College in 2014, and it had just been sitting in my stash for all those years because I have been terrified of sewing with silk. More than sewing with silk, I've been terrified of treating silk so that I can sew with it. And I've been doing some research and, you know, it's just fabric. And I had read that people just wash it. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna put this silk to peony in the washing machine and then in the dryer and see what happens. So what happened was that the fabric lost a little bit of its sheen, but it became very drapey, you know, for silk to peony and supple. So I think it looks fantastic. I made the dress the exact same way as the last one, but this time I think I added an extra button, and then because it is silk and I intended for this to be, I intended this dress to be dressier than the chambray version, the buttons I cover them myself with the silk fabric, and I think it looks so lovely and it's comfortable. I mean, this is not a ball gown. This is not a haute couture kind of gown, but it is a pretty decent cocktail dress. But one issue that I encountered with this pattern this time around, that I missed the first time because I didn't read the instructions altogether. The pattern says that the neck band is meant to be not interfaced. So for the silk dress, I thought, oh, okay. So the one that I made in June in the chambray, I interfaced because I didn't read the instructions and I just did what I thought was natural. So I just went ahead for the second one, for the silk one, and I didn't interface the neck band. And when time came to sew the neckband inside to the outside of the neckband, so you know, when you finish a neckline, you still have to attach the two pieces together at the neck seam. I know if you've made necklines this way, you know what I'm talking about. But when it came time to hand stitch them together, that inside neckline was an absolute disaster, and it was awful and it was terrible. And I didn't realize it, like, it was wrinkled, it stretched out of shape, it just wouldn't lay right. And you know, for all the effort I put into that dress, it was just unacceptable. But at that point I had already I had already graded the neckline seam, so it was a challenge, but I had to fix it. Like, it was just not something that I could live with. So I just removed the neckband completely and cut it again, interfaced it, and the second time it just fit like a dream. Like the first one, there was no puckering, there was no stretching out of shape, there was no wonkiness. It was just great. So don't let anyone tell you that neckbands and collars do not need to be interfaced. They do. If you care how things look, they need to be interfaced. So this dress was amazing, I think. Anyway, I love it so much, and I think like really like having those self-cover buttons is just really completely makes it. If I had any other kind of button, it would look a lot more casual. So absolutely love the Marigold dress, but beware of the interfacing. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't need to interface. You do. Then I made this shirt, which is a vintage pattern. It is, let me look at my notes here, Simplicity 3745, and it's undated, but it is from the 1960s, and it is in a size 18, which corresponds to bust size 38. My bust size is larger than 38, so I had to do a little bit of adjustments, but nothing crazy. What I did was I added about 1/4 of an inch to the side seam allowances, starting an inch below the arm size, so an inch below the armhole. And then on the front darts, I just made them about 1/4 of an inch larger on each side. So I made the darts shallower so that they take in less fabric, thus having more room at the waistline, which I really needed. Like I said, I'm very apple shaped. And then I removed all of the seam allowance for the armhole, and it's still a little big, but I can live with that. And then I bias bounded. The bias binding on the armhole I secured by hand, and then I also did the hem by hand, and this shirt is so comfortable. The collar is very pointed, as you can see, very reminiscent of the 60s, and it is a little short. Well, it's fine for me, but if you are taller, it is a bit short. It is meant to be tucked in. That's the way that they have it on the pattern, but I don't actually ever tuck things in. Another thing that I did is I lowered the darts a whole inch, and I think maybe only 3/4 of an inch would have been fine too. You can't see it here, but I did lower the darts, and now it fits like a dream. Let me see. I mean, I have a video, but it fits so well, and it is really perfect for summer. And then for fall, if you just put on a cardigan, that would be amazing too. I am recently on a vintage pattern kick, not only buying them but also making them. There's a lot more to come, so stay tuned if you are into vintage patterns and sewing from them. And the last thing that I made was the Emily dress from the Maison Victor issue 13. I made it in a size 44, which is already at least one size smaller than what I would normally take. And it was so big. It was huge everywhere. So I ended up having to do a 1.5 inch seam allowance on the sides, starting, and this is already after I had attached the skirt, which is a little complicated because of the way that the pockets are made. So anyway, I ended up having to take in and do a 1.5 seam allowance, starting about half an inch from the armhole, because that's where I had to attach sleeves, all the way down to the waist, tapering out to nothing at the waist, and then again 1.5 inch seam allowances for the sleeves. And it's still so big, not so much on the bust but around the waist. It just billows out. And I think, well, first of all, I should have gone down to probably like a size 40, but you need, my fabric has a lot of drape, but you need fabric that has a lot more drape, and you also need to like not have breasts, because if you have breasts, this thing is just going to hang off your breasts and stick out. So the only way that I am ever going to wear this dress is with a belt. So in the video that I'm showing you here, I have done both with the belt and then without the belt, so that you can see what it actually looks like. The instructions are actually pretty easy and, you know, understandable for this dress, and I like the look. I love the play with the stripes, but it's just so big that, like, incomprehensibly big. Imagine if I had actually made my size, it should have been enormous, just absolutely humongous. Well, and that is all of the things that I finished in June. Like I said, most of that was at the beginning of the month, and then the things that I made at the end of the month was this shirt and the Emily dress. Yeah, I mean, that's still quite a lot. So I have a lot in the works and in the plans for this month, if I can get motivated, and also, you know, trying to balance my academic career, having a child at home in the summer, and the sewing and the knitting and the whatever else is hard. But again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about any of these patterns or vintage patterns or Maison Victor or whatever, let me know in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Again, see you later. Thanks for watching.